was a pretty long break. I don't know how long it was. Let's start the second session. Starting with pass by value, pass by reference, and pass by address. Pass by value, pass by reference.
What's going on, guys? Then my syntax back in the video tutorial on C++ program. And in this video tutorial, we'll be discussing about the three different ways in which we can pass values to a function. That is, we can pass arguments to a function. Now, if you don't know what functions are and how to pass values and arguments to a function, you can check out this video which I'm showing on the top right corner in terms of cards, and you can check it out because we need to understand what functions are so that we can understand how to pass values. And in this video tutorial, we'll be discussing the three different ways in which you can pass values to the functions. Now, this is a very important topic, and I got a lot of requests from students because there is slight confusion between the different types in which you can pass values and how they work. So what we're going to do is we'll usually go through all the three different types. So we first go with pass by value, or also call by value. Then we'll see some theoretical aspect of pass by value, and we'll move on to the program, and we'll also see a diagrammatic representation of what is happening behind the scenes when the program runs. Similarly, we'll do the same for pass by reference. That is, we'll go through some theory, we'll see a program, and we'll see a diagrammatic representation, that is what is happening behind the scenes, and we'll also see the same for pass by address. So with that being said, let's get started. So starting off with pass by value, so the call / pass by value method of passing arguments to a function copies the actual value of an argument into the formal parameters of the function. Now in this case, changes made to the parameter inside the function have no effect on the arguments. And by default, C++ uses call by value to pass arguments. In general, this means the code within a function cannot alter the arguments used to call the function. So now we've just seen the theory, and I know this might not be clear exactly what is happening, but let's take a basic example in the form of a program, and it will be very clear. And then again, we'll also see the representation of what is happening behind the scenes. So let's quickly move on to the code part. So quickly open up your C++ IDE and create a CPP file. And you can see I've written some code already because it's sort of like a boilerplate and there's nothing happening right now. Let me just explain to you what is happening. We have our header file, then we're using namespace standard, and then here is our int main function, and inside that I've created two variables a and b. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a function. We'll say void by value, and we'll pass these values a and b into this function, and we'll try to swap them. So this is going to be call by value or pass by value kind of function.
My head's starting to close. Concentrate for long periods of time. First to get the speed, gotta push through this big part more than fucking big brother. You gotta push through this. You gotta fucking push through this. I'm gonna get through this. I have to get through this. Gotta get through this. Through this. Swapping two numbers without using it's gonna be the investment. You can't make any logical fucking understanding for this because it's just a method. You gotta remember this. So, this one's easy. A equals to x of b equals to x of b equals to x of for x out and x out and 5. I subtract t from there. Some methods that's all take pass
Wherein directly the values of a and b are going to be copied with x and y. Okay, so there is no reference and address being used over here. And then what we'll do is
I get something to drink, read that card. Ah, I'm fucking chronically addicted to reviews. So, do something about
Before swapping the values of a and b, we call the function in this part, or you can see the comment, and then we'll say after swapping whether the values of a and b are swapped or not. So inside the pass by value, we create a temporary variable in z or in z. We'll say z is equal to x, then we'll say x is equal to y, and y is equal to z. Now this is a simple way of swapping variables using a third variable, and I also have a complete practical program video tutorial for this swapping kind of scenario. You can see in the cards on the top right corner, you can check it out how it works. So we'll not waste a lot of time in that. So we've created a function which takes call by value of pass parameter, so directly we pass it as it is, and let's try to call it over here, or before calling it, let's try to save this and let's try to run this, what happens. So there you got the result. You can see before swapping a is equal to 5, b is equal to 6, after swapping a is equal to 5, b is equal to 6. Now the reason why the swapping
Oh.
call the function. So let's try to call the function pass by value, and let's pass a comma b. So we will pass values or arguments to the function. Now let's try to save this and let's try to compile and run this, and let's see if the values are actually being swapped or not. We can just compile and run. So there you go, the result. You can see a is equal to 5, b is equal to 6, and even after swapping a is 5 and b is equal to 6. So since it is a simple pass by value or call by value methodology in which we pass the arguments, the values a and b are directly copied in this function in the form of x and y. So a and b are two separate variables in the main function. X and y are newly created instance variables which are only live, or you can say the scope of those int x and y which have been newly created using a and b are only going to be live, or the scope is only going to exist inside this function. So let's see what happens behind the scenes. Okay, so as you can see on the screen or blackboard, I have the code written which we just wrote. So we have dash include and the header file, then using namespace standard. Then this is our user defined function, and here we have int main function. So we created the pass by value user defined function over here. So what exactly happened is in the memory on this line, when the compilation is done or when the execution is happening. So let's say this is our memory, that is the RAM. So inside that we have a memory block whose name we've kept as a, which has value of 5, and we have another memory block which has name of b, which has value 6. Here we just simply print the two values a and b. Now at this line, pass by value function is called. So the control from the main function is going to be transferred to this function. So here what is going to happen is this value of a is going to be passed to x. So there is a new instance variable x which is created in the memory, and the value of a, that is 5, is again copied into that memory location. Similarly for y, b is being passed, that is 6 is being passed in a new instance variable again created, and it is given the value of 6. Now a and b memory block has some address like 06f and some random address for b, some hexadecimal address. Similarly x has its own address and y has its own address. So they are all individual variables, and x and y are only going to be present inside this function. So what happens is there is one more variable, temporary variable in z, that we are creating inside the function, which is going to take the value of x. So 5 is copied over here. Then we are saying x is equal to y. So the value of y is being copied in x. So always assignment happens from right to left. So right to left. So this is LHS, this is RHS. So RHS value is being copied in x. So this 6 is copied over here. So there is new value 6. And lastly y is equal to z. That is the value of z which we just created. That is 5 is now going to be copied over here. So this is new value 5. So you can see that x now has 6 and y now has 5. So swapping is happening. But you can see that this is happening in x and y and not in a and b. So when the function completes, the scope of these variables end and they are now out of memory. So they are not in the main function. So they are not existing in this main function. So after swapping again when you print a and b, you can see that there is no change happening to a and b. So that is the reason why the value of a and b is printed as it is, and there is no actual swapping. So this method is known as pass by value, wherein directly the values are copied inside the argument. So now that you understood what is happening behind the scene, let's move on to the next type, that is pass by reference. So let me just read out theory aspect. So the call by reference or pass by reference method of passing arguments to a function copies the reference of an argument into the formal parameters. Now these formal parameters are the parameters that we pass inside the function. Inside the function, the reference is used to access the actual arguments using the call. This means that changes made to the parameter affect the past arguments. To pass the argument reference is passed to the function just like any other value. So again, since this theory is little bit vague, let's move on to the programming part and we'll understand what this theory means later on. So you can come back to this part and again read it out and you'll understand it once you've seen the program, and we'll also see what happens behind the scenes as well, just as we saw for pass by value. So let's move on to the program. Okay, so in the same program, we'll do
it's pretty fucking difficult to concentrate on the second part of this fucking restriction on me, because this is, I'm learning for myself and I've never put this much effort for myself. Just a real thing, but yeah. Okay, let's just assume this scenario where I'm presentation on the students. That's what I'm studying for. No, but create a fake scenario. Reading notes on
is a void passed by reference. Now inside the argument, since we are passing reference, the way we pass reference is we use the symbol and. So let's say int and x, int and y. So I'll tell you what is happening exactly when we go in the behind the scenes kind of scenario. Let's first just create the function. Now inside this again the same thing is going to happen where we use a temporary variable that is int z is equal to x. So the value of x is going to be going in z. Then we say x is equal to y. So the value of y is going to be copied in x. And lastly we'll say y is equal to z. So the temporary variable value is going to be stored in y. So this happening is going to happen. So now here we'll just change the pass by value to pass by reference, and that's the only thing that we need to do. You don't need to use the and symbol over here. You just need to use the and symbol in the function itself so that it denotes that it is a call by reference or call by or pass by reference. So let's first save this and let's see if this works. So I've changed the function called pass by reference. So we're not using this function over here. We're going to use this in the in between. So you can see we're calling that over here. Let's save this and let's try to compile and execute over here. Okay, so before swapping we can see a is equal to 5 and b is equal to 6. And you can see after swapping a is equal to 6 and b is equal to 5, which means that the swapping has been successfully performed using that function. And now let's try to understand what is happening behind this and try to understand what exactly pass by reference means. So let's move on to the digital blackboard. Okay, so as you can see we are on the pass by reference part, and you can see this is the program that we wrote. So this was the pass by reference function that we wrote, and we used the and symbol over here and here so that we denote that this function is going to take a reference variable, and then in the interval we use the pass by reference function. So here it was a function call. So the only difference between the previous code that was pass by value and pass by reference was we use the and symbol over here to denote that this function is going to take a reference variable. So let's see what exactly is happening behind the scene right now. So again we have int a and b. So in the memory, so we have a and b. We have values of 5 and 6. Now what is happening is we print the value of a and b on this line, and then we come on this line. So when pass by reference function is called, what is exactly happening is 5 and 6 is not being passed. That is the values are not being passed, but a reference variable x and y is created to refer a and b, which means x is a new name given to a and y is a new name given to b. So inside this function, a becomes x and b becomes y. So the values are not being passed, but we are creating a new name to the same memory location. And it is that we do not create a new memory location because we are just creating an alias name which is pointing or which is the same memory block a and b. So a is x and b is y. So what we are doing is now we are creating another integer variable that is temporary variable z. So for that we are creating a temporary variable z. What we are doing is z is equal to x. So this value is now copied over here 5. Since x and a is the same, this value is being accessed. Then we are saying x is equal to y. So x was 5 and y was 6. So 6 is being copied over here. So this 5 now becomes 6. So let me just erase this out. And lastly we say y is equal to z. So value of z is going to be copied in y. So the value of z is 5, which is going to be copied over here. So I'll write it down 5 and erase this out. So after this function finishes, that is when we move on to the next line, which is going to be printing again of a and b, these x and y are going out of scope, so they do not exist. But however, you can see the actual scenario, the swapping has already occurred in a and b as well. So you can see the values are being swapped over here. And when we print it out this time, a would be 6 and b would be 5. Because inside the function a and b had new names, that is you can say an alias name, which was x and y respectively. But outside that function, that is when the pass by reference is called and x and y goes out of scope, again a and b is there in the main function. But this time a has become 6 and b has become 5. So the swapping has occurred using an alias name that is using a reference variable. So this is how pass by reference works, and I hope now you have got a very good idea of what pass by reference means and how it works behind the scenes. So now let's move on to the last type, that is pass by address methodology. So pass by address or pass by pointer or call by address or call by pointer is one and the same thing. And let me just read out the code. The call by pointer method of passing arguments to a function copies the address of an argument in the forward parameters. Now, inside the function, the address is used to access the actual arguments used in the call. This means that changes made to the parameters affect the past arguments, and to pass the value by pointer, argument pointers are passed to the function just like any other value. Now before we move on to the coding part, if you don't know what pointers are, you can check out the video which you can see on the top right corner in the cards. I put that video and we discussed a lot about pointers and some basics, and we also saw some implementation, that is dynamic memory allocation, and how to achieve dynamic memory allocation using pointers. So if you are not clear with what pointers are, you might want to check that because it is a little bit of difficult subject in terms of beginners reviews. So you might want to check that out. Okay, so now let's move on to the programming aspect so that you understand what this theory means, and we'll also see the behind the scenes scenario what happens over there. Okay, so now we have two functions, void pass by value, pass by reference. We'll create one more function, that is void pass by address, which is also known as pass by pointers. Now inside this, what we will do is the arguments that are going to be used are going to be actual pointers. So I say int star x comma int star y. So these are going to be pointers. So what we're going to pass is the address. Now again swapping, we'll do the same thing. What we'll say int z, that is a temporary variable, equals to star x. So I'll tell you what is happening in the behind the scenes scenario. Then I'll say star x is equal to star y and star y is equal to z or z. Just save this, and in the main function, let's try to change the function name that is passed by address. And here, the way we pass addresses, we have to use and symbol again. So this time the address is going to be passed. So let me just save this and let's see if the swapping actually happens or not. So we have a is equal to 5 and b is equal to 6. So it has to be swapped. So let's try to compile and run. Okay, so the program ran successfully, and you can see before swapping a is 5 and b is 6, and after swapping a is 6 and b is 5. Which means that swapping has taken place successfully using that pass by address function. But now let's try to understand what is happening behind the scenes and how this pointer works to actually swap the values. So let's move on to the digital backbone. Okay, so this was the function pass by address that we created, and this was the call over here. We passed the address by using address symbols, and inside the function we used actual pointers as arguments. This was the only change compared to pass by address and pass by reference. So let's see what happens behind the scenes in the memory. So again, starting from the first line, we have a which is having 5, and we have b which is having 6. Now a has some memory address. Let's say for example hash 0 to 1 0. Now this is just for reference. Now these addresses are weird numbers which are sort of like hexadecimal numbers. The only difference between the previous code, that is pass by value and pass by reference, was we use an AND symbol over there, which is having 5, and we have b which is having 6. Now a has some memory address. Let's say for example hash 0 1 0. Now this is just for reference. Now these addresses are weird numbers which are sort of like hexadecimal numbers. You can check it out later on. But let's assume that this number is hash 0 1 0, and let's assume that the address of the memory location where we've named it as b is hash 100. Okay, so these are the addresses of this actual memory block, and we've given this name ourselves in our code. Okay, now what is happening is we pass these addresses of a and b inside these pointers. So we have created a pointer in the memory. So we have this pointer star x, whose value is an address of a. So inside this pointer we have hash 0 1 0. Similarly, inside this pointer star y, so pointer is y, we really access the value pointing by the pointer is by using star. So I'll tell you what is happening. And inside this, the address is going to be address of b. So hash 100. Okay, so pointers store the address of the normal variables. So you already know that if you have seen my video, and if you haven't, I would highly recommend you watch that. So now let's move ahead, and here the function is called pass by address. We pass the values. We pass the address, and then let's go inside the function. What is happening? Now the first line, we create a new integer variable, that is a temporary variable z, and we say z is equal to star x. Now when we say star x to the right hand side, that is RHS side, what we are saying is we want the value which is pointed by this pointer. So what is happening is the program is going to use this address and going to see at this address what is the value being shown. So at hash 0 1 0, we know that the value is going to be 5. So basically it is pointing over here. So this value is going to go in z. Now when we say star x is equal to star y, so star x is pointing to this memory location because the address is same, the pointer has the same address. Now what is happening is at this line, is saying the value being stored at this address is being swapped with the value which is stored at this address. So we know star y is pointing to this value. Since the address is same, the value stored at this address is 6. So we have 6 over here on the RHS, and star x means this location, so 6 is being copied over here. So let me just erase this out. So here we got 6 over here, and lastly we have star y, that is the pointer y is pointing to this memory location. So at this location we want the new value of z. So z is 5. So 5 is going to be copied over here, and then the function ends, and then we move on to the next line, that is printing of a and b. Now you can see behind the scenes all this process has taken place and the swapping has actually occurred. So the new value of a is 6, the new value of b is 5, and all this is happening because we used the concept of pointers, which were pointing to your memory respective memory locations. Now I know this is a little bit tricky and it is like a little long process using pointers, but I hope now it is very clear, now that you can graphically visualize it and you've seen them.
It's easy because I know how pointers work. Shit doesn't want to come. I'm too fucking tired. Oh man, this is so fucking difficult. Holy shit. These most fucking people from second fucking semester getting with the shit. Okay, pass by value, pass by reference, pass by values. So, it's gonna start with hashtag. So what's happening here is in pass by value just passes a copy of the value. It doesn't pass the real value. It just passes the values of the variables that you are passing as arguments to the function. So it just creates a new copy of it creates a new integer called x, and it assigns the value of a to x, as creates an integer called instance called y, and it assigns the value of b to y. And then here, as you can see, this is a swapping procedure. You create a third variable, assign first variable to the third variable, first assign second variable to the first variable, and then assign the third variable's value, which contains the first variable's original value, to the second variable. And then pass by reference, what we do is we pass the actual integer itself, which is in the main function. We do not create any copies. We pass the actual integer by reference, and swapping and doing any changes to that integer will affect the original integer which is present in the main function. So when I'm assigning z to x, it's actually changing the value of a inside the main function, which has been passed to this function. And then it swaps accordingly. And then in pass the address, what we do is we pass address of the integers variables which we have declared in the main function using pointers. So here where ampersand a passes the address of a, ampersand b passes the address of b to the pass by address function, where I assign the value of z as value of x by dereferencing the pointer star x. Star is the dereferencing operator, so it goes to the address of x and assigns the value which is present in the address of x to z, and then again star x, we change the value that's presented address x to value which is presented by, and then we change the value the address the integer which is presented address y with z, which contains the address which contains the integer x. That's the difference between pass by reference, pass by value, and pass by address. I think I created a motion page for loops. Column reference memory allocation and allocation. Abstraction polymorphism. And then another bit of what is it? Inheritance abstraction polymorphism. Oh, what the fuck? Overloading? What are the 4 pillars of loops? Encapsulation. Inheritance, abstraction, What's the difference between C and C++? I think C is object-oriented programming, whereas C is that's the object-oriented. Procedural programming in C is object-oriented. It's like C on steroids, bro. Jesus fucking. Abstraction problems. Abstraction problems. Translation to focus on other related forms. Oh. Inheritance. Fuck's sake. There's gotta be a next page. Remember I've done this, bro. Interview prep. Fucking remember going through the top 30 and making notes regarding each and every question. I fucked this up. Study. I think it's a GPT chat. Open GPT chat right now. Okay, I guess we'll go through this again. Oh my fucking god, I can't do this. Need a break. Need a